Okay, scholars. We're dealing with the book of Ezra today, all right? And just going to do a little quickie thing. Ezra gives us this beginnings of Cyrus and his Persian Empire. Just want to touch on this just fascinating stuff about Ezra. Okay, this is a let me get here's the Persian Empire. All this in green. You see, this is the biggest thing going in the ancient world. It's created by Cyrus. And as you read in your readings, you got as Isaiah talks about how God is going to use this Cyrus guy. And this Cyrus guy is so important in various different books of the Bible as crucial for what's going to happen with the Jews. And especially what's going to go on is the Jews are going to be sent back after Nebuchadnezzar conquered them. The Jews are going to be sent back, those who want to go back and rebuild Jerusalem. So there's this whole Second Temple Jerusalem, Second Temple Judaism that gets started, and all sorts of fun things. This is great. But then what in the center of it all, you have one of the most boring books in the whole Bible. And you gotta, as historians, you gotta love these really boring books. And because they are when Odysseus, Homer writes Odysseus, it's fun. Every page is exciting adventure, and stuff like that. That's when you start going, oh, this is sort of mythic. This is literature. This is the beginning of, Well, when you're reading pure boring stuff, you know that, hey, this is important. It's not fun, it's not exciting, and no one's supposed to get excited. In fact, I would just be surprised if any of you have ever heard a sermon from any pastor on Ezra, because this book is boring. But it's so boring because it teaches us about basically how a public policy decision gets made in Persia. Public policy, this is like a little YouTube on public policy. And it's wacky. It's chronologically like a file cabinet. So, see, because what happens is it starts with Cyrus up here, then jumps to Artaxerxes here, then jumps back to Darius there, then jumps back to Artaxerxes here. I think that's the way it goes, but it's jumping around chronologically. And the key to the whole thing is this chapter 1, which is this letter. All right, so let's start with this story here and go to this Cyrus letter. Okay, so focus. Where's our focus? Autofocus. Boom. Okay. Is that boring or what? But it begins right here. First year of Cyrus the king of Persia, a letter is written. And then this letter, it quotes the letter. Now this, of course, is not a direct quote. This is a translation of different things and stuff like that. But it says, King Cyrus, the Lord your God, not my God, the Lord your God likes me and wants me to send you guys back. Wants me to make you essentially happy. Because I'm running a big empire. I don't want to deal with people who are unhappy. And we're going to talk more about this. But the key to a good empire is to not have people rebel. And so people have to not be unhappy enough. They need not to be rebelling, because in an empire, empires are so big, you cannot squash all sorts of rebellions. And so what we want is you to be happy. So you get to keep your language, keep your religion. I'll even help you rebuild your temple and rebuild your city. Go back home and be happy. Settle down. All you got to do is pay your taxes and supply me with some soldiers when I ask for it. Okay? But don't rebel, pay your taxes, and supply me with some soldiers, and we will have a happy empire. Okay? Well, Esther deals with this some more. But that's what this letter does, is let's make you Jews, who have a reputation for being feisty, happy. Now, I want to show you that this is, we also have this, whoa, there we go. This is in San Diego in Balboa Park. This is the House of Iran. And right here in front of the House of Iran is this weird little thing called the Cyrus cylinder. And it's talked about here. And in this Cyrus cylinder, which I'll give you a picture of here, it's what it looks like in reality. It was founded in 1879, but it is recognized today internationally as a world's first Declaration of Human Rights. What is that? Well, it's the same as the first chapter of Ezra. It's I want you to be happy, people. I want you to flourish. So you can keep your religion, you can keep your buildings. I will help you flourish, and we'll be happy. Okay, and this is what's now called the world's first Declaration of Human Rights, which I think is a valid thing. But that is also what the first chapter of Ezra is. So this archaeological thing and the documentary thing, which both show Cyrus is this very interesting person coming up with a type of new way of governing built around toleration and diversity. I am not going to boss you around, because if I boss you around, it's going to make you unhappy. So I'm going to do a minimal amount of bossing. I'm going to try and be as nice as I can, and you just be loyal and good and pay your taxes. So this system is what this idea of Cyrus as like a Trump. Trump, of course, not being Christian really at all. He's never made a claim to have a conversion or experience or really belief, as far as I know. But he is like a Cyrus, because Christians and Jews, celebrate him as a type of Cyrus political figure who's not one of us, but he's going to look out for our best interests. Okay, he's going to make us happy, and so that's this great Cyrus principle that in history, and it's also this Cyrus principle that's in the first chapter of Ezra. Okay, and this is writing. You see, that's writing. It's on the side of that thing. Okay, so now let's jump into Ezra itself and see how it works. So, list of exiles. Oh boy, that gets boring. Those are the guys going, rebuilding the altar. You see, then you come into here, and what's very interesting about this is you have these stories of how they start to do what Cyrus had told them to do, but then during King Artaxerxes' time, people come along and they say, wow, they're rebuilding the city walls. This is a siege city. It's a dangerous place. So we need to figure out what they're doing. And so this is a copy. Here again, we get these copies of letters. So, people say, furthermore, the king should know that if this city is built, its walls are restored, no more taxes, tribute, or duty will be paid, and the royal revenues will suffer. Okay? So, what is the suggestion? Go make a search of the archives of your predecessors. In these records, you will find that this city is a rebellious city, troublesome kings. So there's a search the records, and you'll find out the truth about these Jewish people. Okay? Now, as it goes on, we get into chapter 5. We actually jump back in time to Darius. And in Darius's time, we have another governor. So presumably in 4, when you search the archives, you actually find this letter that's in chapter 5. And in chapter 5, what you have is the king should know that these guys are feisty and they're rebuilding the temple and the city. And then he says, down at the end of here, and this is one of the great verses of the Bible, now if it pleases the king, let a search be made of the royal archives of Babylon to see if King Cyrus did in fact issue the decree to rebuild the house of God. Well, okay, that's the document in chapter 1. So go searching for it. See if you can find it in Babylon. So here again, this public policy is being decided. Huge public policy. A major section of the new Persian Empire has been revitalizing itself, and here we are a couple of emperors later, and should we continue to do this? And notice that the letter does not say, you, Cyrus, are the most powerful person in the world. What do you think? No, it says, Cyrus said this, and so Darius, you need to to go back and find out if we have records of it. And if he did say it, we need to follow what Cyrus said that's written down. So a public policy decision is being made on the basis of stability over time rather than the whims of one emperor. So Darius has got to follow the, go search the archives, Darius. Now Darius then issues, and the scroll is found not in Babylon, but Ecbatana. Ecbatana is up there in Iran, up by Tehran. And so they really do search the archives. It's a big public policy, computer Google search or whatever. And they find out that, yeah, okay, that document does exist. So what you're seeing here could be thought of as like a file cabinet, a little dossier, a little folder, which Ezra he's got old documents all, quoted and stuff like that, the original document. Also, he can show anyone who comes and says they should stop building, here's our documents from the Persian Empire to support that we can do this, okay? And that Ezra himself doesn't live until the time of Artaxerxes, so he's not around when these first things are being gathered. So it's a public policy document right there in the middle of our Bible, which you gotta love. You gotta love it, and it's a public policy document which really supports the good government of these Persians who are not Christians, who are not Jews. They don't worship the Lord. But on the other hand, is they are creating a good and stable government which we can thrive underneath, okay? Which is what's going to happen, all right? And so that's the story of Ezra. And go back to this here. And so these are these guys. You have Cyrus, then Darius, then Artaxerxes, then back to Darius. And they're, over this time period, trying to figure out what is the best way to survive as Jews underneath this Persian Empire. And they are not perceived as enemies, but actually as, hey, we can survive, we can serve as a sort of scholarly group, underneath this Persian Empire.